Google Tag Manager now includes a visual event builder that you can use to configure Google Ads purchase tracking without manually creating variables, triggers, or tags. It sounds much easier than implementing an e-commerce data layer. But should you actually use it? In this video, I'm going to show you how the Visual Event Builder works, what it creates in Google Tag Manager, and how it compares to using a traditional data layer. Once we've tested everything, I'll share my recommendation on when you should use the Visual Event Builder and when you should still use a data layer. Okay, let's get started. I've already opened Google Tag Manager and I'm in the container installed on my demo site. Depending on your account and container, you probably see a card to measure purchases in Google Ads on the Overview page. This is the Visual Event Builder. It's designed to simplify the process of configuring purchase conversion tracking for Google Ads. Instead of asking a developer to send purchase details to the data layer, the Visual Event Builder lets you select those details directly from your website. If you don't see this option, then I recommend checking that you're using Chrome to access Tag Manager. I've noticed it doesn't appear in some other browsers. Okay, now let's take a look at how it works. Let's select Start Guided Setup under Measure Purchases in Google Ads. We're now guided through the steps to configure purchase tracking. First, we need to enter the conversion ID and conversion label from Google Ads. To get these, you'll need to set up a conversion in Google Ads. If you haven't set one up yet, then I've included a link to my conversion tracking tutorial in the description below this video. Since I've already done this, I'm going to paste the conversion ID from Google Ads and the conversion label. Now we enter the URL of our website. And let's click Get Started. Tag Assistant now opens in a new tab and connects to the website. We can see we're using the Visual Event Builder and the steps are outlined on the right. Okay, let's click Get Started. Since we're configuring purchase tracking, we need to complete a test transaction and reach the final confirmation page for a purchase. To do this, let's select a product. Add it to the cart. Click Checkout. Enter our payment details. And click Confirm. We're now looking at the order confirmation page, so let's click I'm Done on the right. Tag Assistant checks that our Tag Manager container is installed on the page. Now let's click Confirm. This page contains the information we want to send to Google Ads, including the order value, currency, and transaction ID. The Visual Event Builder lets us select the purchase details displayed on the page. This is really the key part of the setup. We're going to tell the Visual Event Builder where to find the purchase details on the confirmation page. Before we select the elements, it's also worth checking the URL that will be used for the purchase conversion. We can see this on the right at the top. And for this page, it's showing thank-you. You'll need to ensure this matches correctly for your purchase confirmation page. Since I have other thank you pages, I'm going to adjust this slightly. I'm going to add /checkout / before this. Next, let's define the transaction ID. To do this, let's select Transaction ID on the right. Now we need to select the element on the page that shows us the transaction ID. And let's click Select. On the right, we can now see the transaction ID we selected. Next, let's choose Conversion Value on the right. And let's select the element that displays the total purchase amount on the page. And let's click Select. Depending on how your website is built, the selected text might include a currency symbol or other text. The Visual Event Builder will attempt to extract the value, but you should carefully check the preview to make sure the correct number is being captured. Next, let's select Currency Code on the right. For the currency, we can't actually select an element on our confirmation page. Instead, we need to choose a currency code using the drop-down. So let's select the drop-down and choose USD. And click Done. Since we can see the email address is displayed on the confirmation page, let's select Email on the right. And let's select the element on the page that shows the email address we used. And let's click Select. We can now review all of the information we've selected on the right. We have the transaction ID, the conversion value, currency code, and email address. Once everything looks correct, we can click Confirm. And now we click Publish in Tag Manager. We're now looking at the overview, and under pending changes at the bottom, we can see the tag, variables, and trigger that have been automatically created for us in Tag Manager. Let's open the Purchase Ads Conversion tag. The conversion ID and conversion label identify the conversion action in Google Ads. The tag also includes the purchase value, transaction ID, and currency we selected using the Visual Event Builder. Instead of hard-coded values, the tag uses variables that have been automatically created for us. These variables read the corresponding details from the purchase confirmation page. Now let's navigate back. And let's open the trigger. The trigger controls when the conversion tag fires, and we can see the trigger is a page view trigger where the URL contains /checkout/thank-you. Let's close this. Okay, so at this point, we could publish the container and begin measuring purchases. However, I recommend testing that everything is working correctly first. To do this, let's click Preview. Tag Assistant loads. Let's enter the URL for our website. And let's click Connect. Now we need to complete another test transaction, so let's select a product. Add the item to our cart. Click Checkout. Enter our payment details. And click Confirm. We've now reached the confirmation page, so let's select the Tag Assistant tab. We can see the Purchase Ads Conversion tag has fired. Let's select this. And to see the values collected by the tag, let's select Container Loaded. With values selected on the top right corner, we can see the conversion value, the transaction ID, and other details. These should all match the details from our purchase. I also suggest testing different types of transactions. For example, test an order with multiple products, a discount code, shipping, tax, and any other situations that might change the content or layout of your confirmation page. This is important because the visual event builder depends on the structure of the page remaining consistent. Now that we've seen the visual event builder working, let's compare it to a traditional data layer implementation. To do this, I'm going to open a different Google Tag Manager container. In this container, transaction details are sent using the data layer. Let's preview the container and complete a purchase so we can see what happens. Let's click Preview. Enter the URL. And click Connect. The website loads. Now let's select a product. Add it to the cart. Click Checkout. Enter our payment details. And click Confirm. Now let's open the Tag Assistant tab. And let's select the Purchase event on the left. Now let's select the Data Layer tab. And we can see the structured e-commerce information sent by the website. This includes the transaction ID, the value, the currency, and information about the product that we purchased. The Google Ads conversion tag can then fire when this purchase event is pushed into the data layer. This approach does require a little more technical setup because the website needs to send the purchase details in the correct format. However, it also gives us a clear and reliable signal that a purchase has happened. Instead of trying to read information from what's displayed on the page, the website sends the purchase details directly to Google Tag Manager. This is an important difference. The Visual Event Builder works by reading information from the order confirmation page. This makes it much easier to set up, especially if you don't have access to a developer. However, it also means the implementation depends on the content and structure of that page. If the layout changes, or the order total or transaction ID is displayed differently, the Visual Event Builder might not be able to capture the correct information. This could result in the wrong value being collected, or the conversion tag might stop firing altogether. With a data layer, the website sends the purchase information directly to Google Tag Manager, so changes to the design or layout of the confirmation page are much less likely to affect your tracking. So, should you use the Visual Event Builder? I think the answer depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you don't already have purchase tracking, you only need to measure purchases in Google Ads, there's no built-in integration or plugin available, you don't have access to a developer, and you want something working quickly, then I think the Visual Event Builder is a great option. It can help you start collecting purchase conversions without manually configuring variables, triggers, and tags. And that's much better than running Google Ads campaigns without accurate purchase tracking. However, if you're already using a data layer, you're measuring e-commerce in Google Analytics, you're using multiple marketing platforms, or you're planning to use server-side tagging, then I would continue using a data layer. A data layer does require more upfront work, but it provides a more robust and maintainable foundation for your measurement over the long term. So that's how I think about it. If you don't already have purchase tracking and you need to measure purchases in Google Ads, then I think the Visual Event Builder is a good option. But if you're building a complete e-commerce measurement implementation for Google Analytics and other marketing platforms, I'd still recommend using a data layer. The important thing is choosing the one that's right for your website and your implementation. Before publishing either implementation, make sure you test multiple transactions, confirm that the correct values are being collected, and check that each order has a unique transaction ID. You should also document the setup and test it again whenever changes are made to your website or checkout. And if you use the Visual Event Builder, pay particular attention to changes made to your order confirmation page. Are you planning to use the Visual Event Builder, or will you continue using a data layer for purchase tracking? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, please subscribe so you don't miss my future Google Tag Manager tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.